On today's show, we'll preview the Leafs and Kings game tonight and give you 3 horrifying Leaf stats for the month of October. All that and more coming up on today's edition of the Locked On Leafs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.
You're Locked On Maple Leafs, your daily podcast on the Toronto Maple Leafs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello and welcome into the Locked On Leafs podcast, a daily Maple Leaf-centric podcast hosted by myself, Mike DiStefano, and my co-host, Dave Morassutti. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. Could place that $5 money line wager on the Leafs tonight if you think that they can get it done against the LA Kings. Toronto back home after their 5-game road trip, and they kick off a little homestand here against LA tonight. What are you looking forward to in this game, Dave?
Well, it's nice to have the Buds back at home, and it's an 8 o'clock start tonight, just for those who always will turn the TV. Now, this time you'll turn the TV on at 7 o'clock and be like, where's the Leafs game? So this time it is at 8 o'clock. So that's the first thing I'm looking forward to is a later starts. I don't mind the later starts sometimes. I know it means that we record the podcast a little bit later, but
I hate the late starts.
I'll take an 8 o'clock start over a 10:30 start.
Yes, this is true. But I remember there was a game last year, and for whatever reason, like whenever a game starts at 7:30 or 8 o'clock, it just feels so much longer. Like, I remember it was, I think they were playing the Islanders, and I was down at the game. I was in press row, and it was a 7:30 puck drop, which means puck drop about 7:38. And I remember looking at my phone, and at one point, it was like 10 o'clock, and the game still wasn't over. I'm like, oh, God, I feel like I've been here for 5 hours. It's just sometimes it just gets a little too long, right? Like, I like when the games are done by 9:30 and they can kind of, go on with the last hour, 2 hours of your night. When the game starts at 8 and finishes up at like 10, 10:30, then you're like pretty much done for the day. I like having a little buffer afterwards to give you, an hour, hour and a half to do whatever you got to do at night.
That's fair. That's fair.
Is what it is, though. Is what it is. Sounds like Joe Woll getting back into the net tonight. I had a little bit of a night off in Nashville, but he'll get back in. Dude's been on fire, like absolutely on fire. Like we talked a lot about, what his stats were coming off of that 3-game, the 3 games that he just played. A .979 save percentage in those 3 games, and he's averaging Dave over 2 goals saved above expected per game. It's absolutely madness. And they're going to need that tonight because, let's take a look at some of the underlying numbers with the Kings. That's a team that's generating a lot of offense. They're number 1 in league scoring with over 4 goals a game. And they're generating a lot of chances in the high danger areas. So they're getting to those scoring areas on the ice. And Joe Woll is going to have to be on his A game once again tonight to try and limit this Kings offense.
Yeah, this is not something you usually associate with the LA Kings. You always think of the LA Kings as like the defensive juggernaut team, but now they've transitioned to a we score all the goals sort of team. And it's not like one guy is leading the charge. It's like it's coming from many different contributors.
Yeah, by committee,
But who does lead the Kings in goals? Because there's always a Leafs reference here. Trevor Moore.
Trevor Moore.
So we already know who. If you're looking for a bet tonight on FanDuel, if you're looking to go a little crazy here, anytime goals, Trevor Moore, probably a likely option.
I feel like Trevor Moore. Well, how has Trevor Moore done? I guess in his career against.
I'm pretty sure he scored against the Leafs.
He did. I do remember, like, specifically, he did score a goal against the Leafs. But I'm curious, like, what his career numbers are against Toronto. Joseph Wool. No, not Joseph Wool. That is not the player I'm looking for. Who am I looking for again? What's his
Trevor
name?
Moore.
Trevor Moore. Why can't I find him? There it is. 5 games, just 1 goal. So that 1 goal is the only point that he's ever had against the Toronto Maple Leafs. But I do remember that game pretty specifically. It was a nice rush goal. He just kind of took it across the crease and scored. But Trevor Moore has been a nice player for them. I will give the Kings that. They've been able to turn him into a good middle six player. Definitely will be a guy who the Leafs are going to have to keep their eyes on tonight for sure. Anything else that you'll be keeping an eye on for tonight's game?
Well, I've always been curious about Pierre-Luc Dubois and how he's fit in with the Kings. That was like obviously their big, like that was one of the bigger trades from the off season, right? And so they seem to be enjoying that. I will say this Kings team does have quite a bit of inflated shooting percentage, right? So that's something that I know that when it comes to how many goals are scoring, that's part of the reason. But yeah, they're not doing so hot with the goaltending, and that's something I feel like the Leafs should be able to exploit a little bit here. But like Cam Talbot's taking the net. It looks like the Phoenix Copley, him being this out of nowhere goaltender, sort of coming back down to earth a little bit here.
Yes. I think most people expected for that to happen.
Yeah.
And like Talbot's been the better of the 2 goalies. He's got like a 246 or 276 goals against and a save percentage just north of 900. Copley far worse numbers than that, which is bringing down the overall team numbers specifically. But yeah, like keeping the puck out of the back of the net, they're averaging 3.5 goals against a game. So, Toronto, this is a team that can score and they'll be looking to score. And if you look at the Kings too, like the last few games, like they're giving up 4 goals to like Vegas got 4, and then they gave up 4 goals in back-to-back games against Arizona, who also just laid a beating on Chicago last night. I don't know if you saw that. Former Leaf Michael Carcone with actually I don't even know if he played for the Leafs. I know he played for the Marlies. But
I think he had a skate or 2 with the Leafs.
Did he have a game with the Leafs, Carcone? If he did, shout out former Maple Leaf. But he definitely was part of the. He was the return for Levo, if I'm not mistaken, when Josh Levo was traded to Vancouver. Anyways, not important right now. But the point is, Toronto should definitely look to like get in those areas and score some goals tonight. Like Austin Matthews, you've got William Nylander looking to extend that streak and set a new franchise record for points in consecutive games to start the season. He's done it in all 8 games. He's collected a point. Can he do it tonight in the 9th game and set a new record? Well, against a team that is not playing particularly well defensively and goaltending has been very subpar. Yeah, I think there's a good chance that he ends up kind of setting that new record. I think they'll be looking for him to do it too. So that's something to watch for tonight as well. As for the injury updates, Jake McCabe will not play in tonight's game. Could be ready to go later this week, though, which was an encouraging development we heard from Sheldon Keefe.
Yeah, they need him. I know that you want to. People are like this whole addition by subtraction. Jake McCabe. I don't want to see Mark Giordano playing anywhere close to 20 minutes a night, and that's what's going to happen with Jake McCabe out of the lineup. So definitely need Jakey boy back.
Yeah, I would say so. And like he's a big part of their penalty kill. That's where I think he's going to be missed the most. Is like the PK. They already like Justin Hall was a big part of that last year. He's no longer with the team. They just don't have like penalty killers. Like they just don't have many penalty killing defensemen. So, and that's been a big struggle for the Leafs to try and find those right units. And Jake McCabe should have been one of the steady guys, but injury has forced them to go in different directions. As for Timothy Liljegren, who left the game on Saturday night, it sounds as though he's expected to play tonight after getting in a full practice on Monday. So Timothy Liljegren dodging a bit of a bullet there. Looks like he'll be okay and will play tonight. So we'll get a chance to see Lily in the lineup at the very least, it sounds like. All right, we will take a quick break, Dave. When we get back, we get to our keys to victory in tonight's game. And then a little later on, it's Halloween, buddy. Halloween night. So we're looking at 3 horrifying stats to start the year for your beloved Toronto Maple Leafs. Boy, these are not flattering ones either. So we'll get to those in just a little bit. But before we get into any of that, let me tell you about one of today's show sponsor, and it's our good friends over at FanDuel. It's the official sponsor of the Locked On Network. You can score early this NHL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets with any $5 money line bet on the NFL. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/locked on and kick off the NHL season. FanDuel, official partner of the Locked On Network.
Locked On Leafs is also brought to you by a new sponsor, and that is BetterHelp. Do you ever feel like your brain is getting in its own way? Like, you know what you should do, what's good for you, but you just can't do it? Therapy helps you figure out what's holding you back so you can work for yourself instead of against yourself. It's helpful to learn, positive coping skills, set boundaries, empowers you to be the best version of yourself. And that's what BetterHelp tries to do for you. It isn't just for those who experience major trauma. It's for many people who just need that little extra help to maximize what your brain is capable of. So if you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Make your brain your friend with BetterHelp. So visit betterhelp.com/lockedonnhl today to get 10% off your first visit, your first month. That's betterhelp.com/lockedonnhl.
Welcome back into the Locked On Leafs podcast. It's Mike DiStefano and Dave Morassutti. We're teeing up a Maple Leafs and LA Kings game tonight. And if you are brand new to the show, if you're just stumbling upon us, we do roll out new episodes each and every weekday, Monday through Friday. So if you enjoy the content that we're providing here today, we do it a lot, 5 days a week. So make sure that you do subscribe wherever you get your podcast from. Also, it's available up on YouTube as well. That'd be greatly appreciated if you could subscribe and follow along. We it's a Leaf centric podcast. It's all Leafs all the time. So if you are a fan of the Leafs, you consider yourself a big member of Leafs Nation, you got to be locked into what's going on with Locked On Leafs. And we'll be locked into this game tonight, as Dave noted at the top of the show, 8 p.m. puck drop in Toronto. So 8 p.m. local time, not Pacific. It's not in LA. It is 8 p.m. local time here in Toronto as the Leafs come back home from their road trip to take on the LA Kings. Dave, what are some keys to victory for the Leafs tonight?
Well, I kind of teased it a bit in the first segment, but I think you got to take advantage of this Kings goaltending and the fact that they are not exactly the best at stopping the puck. Usually that doesn't bode well sometimes for the Leafs when they go up against the goalie who's has pretty, let's say, mediocre numbers. I know that Cantel has a 905 save percentage, but you should be able to put at least 3 goals on Cam Talbot tonight without any issue.
I'm hoping for more. My best bet's over 3.5 goals. So I'm hoping, and they've given up 4 goals in 3 of the last 4 games.
Yeah.
This goaltending duo. So it's been very, very shaky of late. Yeah.
And also the Kings blue line isn't what it used to be either, right? Yes, they still have Drew Doughty.
Pretty good. Still pretty good. You know what? It's honestly their biggest problem. Like, defense is not the issue when it comes to the LA Kings. Like, I'm pretty sure I was looking into it. Like, if you look at their expected numbers, they don't give up a whole lot. Like, high danger chances against, they're pretty low. They've given up the least amount of high danger chances, and their expected goals is also very low. I think if you do it as like for rates, per 60-minute basis. They're like a top team when it comes to expected goals against. Let me just double check. Yeah, they're fifth in the NHL, the 234 expected goals against. The problem is their actual goals against is 345. So, the goalies are allowing one
Yeah.
goal above expectation per game. And a big reason for it, though, Dave, and this is where I think you can exploit goaltending. This is one of my things, is they can't stop pucks in high danger areas. That's where they've really, really struggled this season. Just a 743 high danger save percentage at 5-on-5. That is the second lowest high danger save percentage in the NHL, behind just the Edmonton Oilers, who also can't stop a beach ball. So that's where I think the Maple Leafs need to take advantage there, is get to those high danger areas, get into the slot, the inner slot. And the good thing is Toronto has a couple of guys who rank number 1 and 2 in the entire NHL in getting to the slot and getting those shots off, with Austin Matthews and John Tavares. So, if they could just continue to do that against this team that, again, they don't allow a lot. They've allowed, the least amount of high danger chances in the NHL this season. But if they can somehow fight through that defense and get to those areas, I think the Maple Leafs should have themselves some success there tonight.
Yeah, and kind of another kind of key for me here is the special teams battle. You
Oh
know,
yeah,
the Leafs penalty kill has not been very good this year. They're sitting at a 74.1%, which not great. The Kings have actually been they're a top 5 team in penalty kill this year at 89.7%. And so, like, if you're the Leafs,
perfect on the road.
yeah. So if you're the Leafs, stay out of the box. The unnecessary penalties, you got to start cutting those out. They took too many of them against Nashville. That cost them dearly in that game. And I don't know. Like, the Leafs have got to win this game at 5-on-5. I think
Yeah,
that's where they're going to have their bread and butter here. The Kings, as you noted, are really good on the penalty kill on the road. They're perfect. So I know that the Leafs generally they find a little more success at home when it comes to their special teams, but not against this Kings team. They take care of that very well, so they got to find a way to win that battle and avoid
yeah.
the battle if possible.
Yeah, yeah, be disciplined. Like that's another one of my keys as well. And if you can, you got to win this. You can't lose the special teams battle. So either be par, be even, or win it yourselves with a power play goal. They on home ice, they are operating at 40% on the power play. So this should be a good kind of test for both sides, the LA Kings and the Toronto Maple Leafs, when the Leafs get to the power play. So that is something that I'm definitely like a matchup I'm excited to kind of watch and see how that can how that unfolds here tonight. Um my other key for tonight is the Maple Leafs got to make sure that they stay on top of pucks, right? Can't allow LA's rush attack to beat you. Like, it's a pretty quick team. They've got some fast players, and Toronto's had some issues with that in the past. I think as long as they can, stay back, stay on top of pucks, and know, okay, this is a pretty, quick attack offense, and they've got some dudes on the wings who can fly down the ice. Make sure that they kind of hold back a little bit and stay on top of pucks. But another way that they can make sure that they slow down, this counterattack of the LA Kings, or this rush attack, is do things that they have been doing the last couple of games. I think they did in Dallas, and like they did a little bit in Nashville. Active sticks in the neutral zone and in the offensive zone, just everywhere, all around the ice. Always have an active stick to try and slow down that speed. Try and force some turnovers and force some counterattacks your own way. So I think that's going to be another key for tonight, to try and limit the offense of the LA Kings, which again averaging over 4 goals a game. So you got to make sure that you either get stick on puck or take bodies. Because if you just let them dance their way into the offensive zone, they are generating the most high danger goals, the most high danger chances as well. So they're going to get themselves into those areas and fight. Joe Wall's going to have to be on his A game. Good thing he's got like a 930 save percentage or something like that against high danger chances. But we don't expect for those numbers to stay all the way up there for too long. Let's not let tonight, though, be the night that it ends. So I think that's going to be another key for the Maple Leafs.
Yeah, I think that was the other one for me. Is the LA Kings have some very big players, Nike players, especially down the middle with Kopitar and Dubois. Those guys, are going to try to do their best to get into the grill of the Leafs defense, and they got to do a better job of boxing out. Giordano kind of took onus on the one goal that Ryan O'Reilly scored because he didn't box him out. They're going to have to see if they do a better job of that against the Kings, because the Kings are going to they're gonna feast if the Leafs aren't able to box out in front of their net.
Yeah, I also just realized this too. Like, this is just the trifecta of centermen down the middle that haunts Austin Matthews. Like, you've got Anze Kopitar, who it's like, okay, Kopitar was considered a comparable for Austin Matthews when he was coming into the NHL, right? Like, and Kopitar has always played Matthews very well. And they've got Dubois, who has always played Matthews very well, dating back to that series in the bubble back against the Columbus Blue Jackets. That was always, a really good one-on-one. And obviously, these are guys who went number 1 and 3 in the draft class. And then Phil Deneau, who very famously also shut down Austin Matthews when Toronto and Montreal played in the second bubble series back in 2021. So that's going to be something also to watch. And I guess a key would be, Austin Matthews has to kind of find a way to exercise those demons, right? Like, it's Halloween night. Let's make sure that, those don't haunt him. And, we're in for a treat, perhaps. And Austin Matthews, a little bit of a breakout coming potentially. Speaking of Austin Matthews, I've got a pretty horrifying stat about him through the first month of the season. We'll get to our 3 horrifying Leaf stats to start the year in just a moment. But first, I want to tell you guys about one of today's show sponsors, and it's our good friends over at Sleeper. A new NHL season brings all sorts of possibilities. Matthews could score 50 goals, the Leafs could hoist the Stanley Cup, and you could win big by playing daily fantasy hockey on Sleeper. It's the official daily fantasy app of the Locked On NHL Network. Sleeper is the #1 choice for daily fantasy sports, and especially daily fantasy hockey, because with Sleeper you can win 100 times your cash in daily fantasy hockey contests. All you have to do is pick whether studs like Matthews or Marner, McDavid, Ovi, McKinnon, any of them to score to record more or less than their sleeper projections for things like goals, assists, saves, plus minus, and more in any given game. To win 100 times your bet on Sleeper, you need to correctly predict the outcome of 8 player stats. You heard me, Leaf fans. You can win 100 times your money playing daily fantasy hockey with Sleeper. So start paying attention and nail your picks so you can start winning big. Use the promo code LOCKEDONNHL and you'll get a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. That's code LOCKEDONNHL. See Sleeper's terms of use for details and locational availability. Welcome back into the Locked On Leafs podcast. Mike DiStefano and Dave Morassutti with you. It's October 31st. It's Halloween. Ooh. You got any plans tonight?
Watching hockey.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, you're in a house, right?
Yes.
So you get the old trick or treaters coming up to your door.
Not as many as we used to, but we still get it. We still get a few that scowl around, and not as many as let's just say as we've used to have.
Dude, when we were kids, like you and I mean, 20 years ago, man, Halloween, the streets were filled with kids, filled with them.
I used to have bag upon bag. There were times where I was worried my family didn't have enough bags for candy.
Legitimately, but I remember there was times where we would do one, this half of the block, come back, have to empty my pillowcase, and then go do the other half of the block of the neighborhood, and then come back. And it was wild, man. It was wild. My mom, my house has a tradition every year. They make candy apples. It's the 49th year in a row that my house specifically had made candy apples, and it was like a handshake agreement when we purchased the house, or when my parents purchased the house, that they had to continue on with the tradition. There was a bidding war. One guy wanted to turn it into a bed and breakfast, and we wanted it as our family home. And the lady literally took like the hour number and said, "I'll give it to you if you keep this tradition alive." And she did it for 25 years. We've done it for 24 years now that we've lived there. Next year will be 50 years in a row that candy apples have been given out at the house. So people know that is what I'm getting at. And we still get lots of people coming to my parents' place. Well over, hundreds of kids. And it's people show up in cars. It's ridiculous, to be honest with you. But like our neighbors, they'll get like 15, 16 kids, and we're still getting 150 to 200 people every single year. It's wild. It's insane. But nonetheless, it is what it is. There's a lot of less festive things in today's world, but I'll just be sitting on my couch watching hockey. I'm in a condo, so no one's coming to my door bugging me, so I don't really have to deal with having to make sure I get any candy or anything like that. But at least we got a little Leaf game to keep us occupied while that all goes down. All right. So since it is Halloween, we thought, well, how can we do a little Halloween theme for the show today? So we're looking at 3 horrifying stats for the Toronto Maple Leafs in the opening month of the season. I've got three stats here, Dave, that I think are not good looks for the Maple Leafs and certainly need to change going forward. Are you ready to hear them?
All right, let's have them.
All right. Austin Matthews, what's been your opinion of his season so far?
Good start. I think he's tailed off a little bit here. He's gone a little cold. I think that top line has been kind of just cold in general.
How many games? How many games this year? So we're 9 games into the season, right? 9 or 10?
We are 8 games.
5-2-1. 8 games. Sorry.
Yeah.
8 games into the season. How many of those 8 games do you think Austin Matthews has scored a 5-on-5 goal in?
I want to say 2.
The answer is 1, Dave.
1.
He has 2 5-on-5 goals, but they were both scored in the same game
against Montreal.
Minnesota. Yeah, because he scored at 6-on-5 in Montreal. Yeah. So only 1 game of the 8 games that this team has played has seen Matthews score at 5-on-5 this season.
Wow,
that's not great. That's not great. That's like this was my issue always kind of with John Tavares for the last few years. It's like the guy's cooking on the power play, so he's getting his points. It looks good on the surface, but they're all coming on the power play, not at 5-on-5. That's kind of what we're getting here with Austin Matthews right now. Just 2 goals in total at 5-on-5 on the year, both of them coming in one single game. I'll say this though, only 9% shooting so far at 5-on-5, so we should expect for that to go up. Like this is a career 16% shooter, so that those numbers should start to tick back upward here as the calendar flips. But that was a bit of a horrifying stat that I saw.
Well, horrifying for me, and you want to bring up the 5v5 numbers. You know where the Leafs currently rank in goals scored at 5 versus 5? Not how many they have, but where they rank in the league.
I would imagine pretty low because they've relied a lot on the power play.
Yeah, they are 20th in the NHL at goals scored at 5-on-5. They're actually allowed the same amount of goals at 5-on-5, so they're at a pretty even pace. The team they're going up against tonight, the LA Kings, 24 goals at 5-on-5.
Is that first in the league?
That is second in the league. First in the league are the Detroit Red Wings at 25.
Yeah, that would make sense.
The top 5 are the Red Wings, the Kings, the Knights, the Golden Knights, the Wild, and The Sennies, the Ottawa Senators.
That might be the more horrifying stat.
Yeah, maybe that could be.
'Cause they're known for their slow starts, and they're getting off to a decent start. Tough luck with injuries and then the Pinto suspension, but they seem to be powering through it. All right, another stat I got for you, Dave. After having the best high danger save percentage in the entire NHL last year, Ilya Samsonov currently ranks dead last in high danger save percentage. The biggest reason for why Samsonov has not looked great this year is because he's not making those saves that he did a year ago. And it's particularly coming from out in front of the net in the slot and inner slot areas.
Yeah, it's not great. That like we were. I personally wondered if he was able to sustain what he was doing last year because of, that's a very tough
Probably
thing
not.
to
Yeah,
maintain.
probably you're not expecting for. I think he was above 900, which was he
Yeah.
was the first starting goaltender to be above 900. I looked back into the numbers. Legitimately, in the last like 15 years, he was the only starter. The only other guy who did it, or sorry, in the last 10 years, the only guy who ever did it was Curtis McElhinney when he was with Toronto, funny enough. And he wasn't a starter, though. But he was the only other guy who actually did have a save percentage for the full season above 900, high danger save percentage. But so I think we expected for regression to come for sure. But you don't go from first to worst. Like that's not good. So
Yeah.
there should be some positive regression from Samsonov when it comes to that. And obviously, if you're allowing less high danger goals, should be allowing less goals overall, and we should see a bit of a bounce back here as the calendar flips for Samsonov.
Yeah, my second stat was a Samsonov stat as well, because we know Joseph Woll is got a goal saved above expected per 60 at 2.280, which is horrifying to the rest of the league. Horrifying to the rest of the league. Great for the
Right.
Leafs. Samsonov, he's in the minus on this one. Negative 1.339
per game.
Per game. Per game. Minus 5.7 on the season. So he's allowed almost 6 goals saved above expectation, which that's not very good. And part of the reason, as you said, is the high, he's not getting the high danger stops that we were seeing in last year. So he's got to turn that around. I think he was obviously better against Nashville, but still not perfect, right? I mean, I'm not expecting perfection from him, but he's got to work on his way on getting back and not allowing those opportunities to go into the net.
Yeah, completely agree with you there. My third horrifying stat so far on the season, it's got to do with our guy David Kampf, who just signed a fat, juicy off-season contract with the Toronto Maple Leafs. And throughout his tenure in Toronto, like this guy's been a pretty top-tier face-off man. He's been above 50% his entire career. The only year he wasn't above 50% was in 2018-19, where I see he was 45% that one season in Toronto or in Chicago. But other than that, 53%, 52.3, 52.8, 52.9 last year, 51.5. This year, Dave, 41.7% in the face-off dot. Got to be better. Got to be better. Like this is a team that wants to play with possession, and you establish possession by winning the face-off first, Dave. That's step number one for establishing the possession. It's a big reason why the team overall has been a middle of the pack face-off team, where typically they've been top 3 the last couple of years. David Kampf certainly needs to be better, and he's a guy who, he takes a lot of draws in the defensive end, takes a lot of draws on the penalty kill. For him to be 41% is not good for Toronto. You talk about the PK being 74%, probably because they're not winning a lot of faceoffs and clearing the puck, right? They're giving, their opposition a lot of chances to start off in the offensive zone early and start to generate chances from there. David Kampf wins a couple more draws, then you can clear the puck and make them, force them to reset, kill time. I think that you'll see some better numbers from the PK and defensively as well when that starts to happen. So for me, that's a pretty telling stat, and that's got to change. That's got to improve too as we head into November.
Yeah, and the fact that they still trot him out in overtime to take those face-offs.
Yeah, a little face-off, get-off action, and it's like, dude,
Which I hate because you have better
losing.
because you have better guys to take face-offs that can score goals and be
Yeah.
offensive contributors. Like, I'd rather, if you're going to do that in overtime, you want to get the possession. If you're not putting out Austin Matthews, put out John Tavares. The guy's got way better face-off numbers.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing with Camp. It's like it's 41% now, but
Yeah.
I mean a career 51% guy. So you expect for him to definitely go up in this statistic over the next the next wave of the season. And there's going to be a time where, by law of averages, he'll average 61% in the face-off dot. Sheldon Keefe is probably hoping that starts to come soon, and that's the reason why he's like, well, he's got to eventually turn around. So, hopefully he can do it, get us possession, a little face-off, get-off action. But, yeah, I'm with you, man. When you have someone like Austin Matthews, who also is somewhat struggling, I would say, like as a team for whatever reason, they don't seem to be winning as many draws as they have in the past. Like I said, they've dropped from being a top 3 team down to like middle of the pack. I think they're ranked 15th or 16th in face-off percentage this year. It's got to be better. It does have to be better all around from everyone. But I think Camp is one of the more head-scratching ones here, and because it is so low after being just very consistent his entire career. It's a baffling stat, to be honest with you. It's horrifying from a Maple Leafs perspective, and hopefully it does get better. I'm choking up just thinking about it, Dave. Oh,
I got a final one here. I don't know how horrifying you think this one might be. Do you know who leads the Leafs in defensive zone giveaways?
In what giveaways?
Defensive zone giveaways. So in the defensive end, who leads the Leafs in giveaways?
John Klingberg.
You would think so, but it's
Jake
not.
McCabe.
It's Mitch Marner.
Oh, ew. Why wouldn't I think that's a bad stat? That's not a good stat at all for a guy who plays 23 minutes a night.
Yeah, so Mitch Marner has 5 takeaways. We know he's really good at that. Austin Matthews leads the Leafs in 7 takeaways. John Tavares has 6. Marner has 5. But Mitch Marner has given away the puck 7 times. 5 of those giveaways have been in the defensive zone. Not good.
Can't be doing that. It's not good, eh? As Phil Kessel once said. Not good, eh? Yeah.
Morgan Rally is second with 4. So
yeah. Look, all 3 of these from both of us. So that's 6 stats combined. Are not flattering statistics for the Maple Leafs. That said, the team still is 5-2-1 despite all of these deficiencies that they've had, and they actually had a good October. We're not used to a good October out of Toronto. Typically, it goes the other way. They have not played particularly well at all in October. So we could sit here and complain, not getting the 5-on-5 production, the face-off percentage has been terrible, the PK's been bad. Well, they're still winning games. They're still winning some games here. So, they're doing some things right as well. And hopefully they continue to build off of those things and then right the wrongs that they've done in the first month. Hopefully going forward, we could see a better face-off percentage from Camp. We could see Matthews start to score some more goals. We can see less goals being scored on Samsonov, and he can play above expectation as opposed to below it. So I think that there's ample opportunity for the Leafs to grow and things to work on off of the opening season. And that's what it is. It's an 82-game season for a reason. It's a journey. It's a long slog. And not everything's going to be great right off the hop. And there's always going to be things to clean up. And these happen to be just some of the stats that are kind of, mind-boggling a little bit to start the year. And hopefully we see those things change All right, buddy. Any final words on today before we head out?
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. If you are looking for a worthwhile Halloween video to watch, I want you to go back to 2018. The Leafs put out a video on Halloween of somebody dressed in a Carlton inflatable costume. And this guy, after the practice, would have each player walk by and scare them because they didn't know that there was somebody actually inside. Watch when Austin Matthews walks by this Carlton for the reaction. I think maybe I'll have to throw it into the description. It made my day. Just remember how Austin Matthews just absolutely freaked out from being scared by Carlton the Bear. Carlton the Bear.
Yeah, I do recall this. I do recall this video. I think Morgan Riley got pretty scared as well. He got
Andreas
jumped.
Johnson I don't know if he broke his phone, but it looked like he broke his phone. So
Yeah, it
a
was
lot of
really
good ones.
funny. Go check out that video. Enjoy the game tonight, guys. That'll do it for us here today on the podcast. I'd like to thank you all for listening and supporting the show. You can subscribe to Locked On Leafs podcast on all podcast platforms and receive daily Leafs content. Follow myself on X at Mickey_Canuck. Follow Dave at D_Morassutti. Follow the show as well at Locked On Leafs. You can go ahead, leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it. Comment down below your thoughts. You have some other horrifying stats for us? Let us know in the comments section down below. We'll be back with another episode for y'all tomorrow. We'll be recapping the Leafs versus Kings game tonight one more time, an 8 p.m. puck drop local time down at Scotiabank Arena. But until then, keep it locked right here on Locked On Leafs.